Through the Mayhem, the Sightly podcast series, bringing marketing industry leaders together to discuss the ever-shifting media landscape. Learn about the ins and outs of real-time marketing, influencers, data privacy, technology, and so much more. All from industry experts with real experience, giving you the real answers. Now, let's break through the mayhem.
Welcome back to Breaking Through the Mayhem. It's been an amazing day live here at ADweek. We have another amazing guest. Tell us who we have here.
Hey everyone, my name is Terrence Moduthagam. I'm the Vice President of Media.net. I run the Curation business over at Media.net Exchange.
That's awesome. What brought you here? Why'd you say yes to come join me?
This is interesting. I mean, this brings me back to exactly a year ago. I met Annalise, who works for you, of course, precisely a year ago at the Virgin Hotel. We were kicking off a partnership, understanding exactly how we could connect, work together, discuss ideas, be innovative, and now a year later, we're here again. So yeah, I'm happy to come back.
That's awesome. I feel like our companies work so well together because it's very similar cultures.
100%.
What's been your experience so far in the partnership, and what do you want to tell the world about it?
You know, I think you touched upon something that's really, really important, right? Culturally aligned companies, right? From individuals that take things from 0 to 1 to individuals that have no ego, that are willing to like roll up their sleeves and get in the weeds is what we've experienced working with every layer of Sightly, right? And that pretty much reflects like our own ethos and culture when it comes to Media.net. So it's been nice. Like over the last year, I think we've made tremendous progress in terms of working backwards from areas that we want to help, like initiatives that we want to grow and scale. And it's been nothing but fantastic. It's been great.
Wow, that's amazing to hear. What do you think is the next iteration of this curation business? Obviously, you've been doing this for a long time, and curation's having its moment. What do you think is the next evolution right now?
So I think the idea of sell-side targeting is nothing new, right? I think that many companies have been doing this for a while, but realizing that there's certain aspects to just sell-side targeting and data-driven marketing is honestly the most important thing, right? Going past that and working with partners like Sightly has helped supported the idea of looking at like culturally intelligent moments, right? How do we pair the data with opportunities and moments that are relevant to the consumers and what their preferences are? And I think that's where we're trying to take this. Not only give as much signal and as much data that we can to intelligently bid, but more an understanding exactly, okay, wait, what are those moments that are particularly important to the consumer, right? And I think that's where we're trying to achieve a lot of growth and scale. So when it comes time, going back to your last question, what are those partners that are aligned with those mutual goals? I mean, Sightly's on a short list of a number of agencies that help support that growth, right?
I love that.
And it's great. It's wonderful.
You know, I didn't realize Media.net was so big.
Yeah.
You know, the other day I was playing around and I was just throwing it in our new world of search, Media.net, and I was like, damn.
Yeah. It's
how big are you guys? Like, how many people do you interact with? Like, how do you navigate that?
It's nuts. And I think that it's a question often I don't get enough, right? To go back to what Media.net is. From an ethos standpoint, it is like your scrappy, lean startup that gets stuff done, right? However, we are a 2,000 person company, like close to 2,000, X amount of engineers, like 600 engineers in India. We're a very product-led organization. I think that when it comes to working with product organizations, Media.net sits at the top of those organizations I've supported over the years because we're constantly trying to figure out exactly how to innovate, right? And it's not just initiation, the planning, the testing, but really diving deep in terms of the details and working backwards from what the customer wants is something that we focused on. So at that scale with 2,000 people globally, you tend to go through various shifts and changes as the company evolves. And I think that's what we like work on constantly to navigate and try and figure out. So it's a work in progress.
What are your favorite offices you've been to for Media.net?
Oh, to be honest with you, I've been around the United States. In the last 4 years that I've worked at Media.net, I've yet to go back to India in spite of having so much family there. So in the next couple of months, I'm going to India to spend a lot of time in Mumbai, which I've heard is an absolutely fun office, right? And I think in spite of
How many people are in Mumbai for the company?
We have about 600 engineers, about I think close to 1,300 people now.
Wow.
In that area. So it's great. Like I honestly, we have obviously a lot of folks coming back and forth with India all the time. A lot of folks in town right now that are enjoying ADweek, and I think that speaks to Media.net as a whole, right? Just giving experiences, right? Giving experiences to all employees globally to help them understand, okay, what's going on, in other areas, other markets, and how do we develop new solutions and let ideas lead to conversations or innovations rather.
What are you trying to learn this week that has nothing to do with media.net?
Oh, nothing to do. That's a great question. I think along the lines of what it means to be okay. So the application of AI and data is there, right? We're seeing a huge amount of money pour into AI. I think that there's opportunities to reap value from that. I think like 90% of CEOs have seen returns supposedly. I think I'd like to see what goes beyond that, right? Like I think we're at a point where people are understanding, okay, there's from a creative optimization standpoint, activation, measurement, AI is going to have a material impact and consequence in the way we do everything in terms of media buying. I'd like to see some thought leadership in terms of where we're going after that, right? Like what it looks like X amount of years out now that it's embedded in our everyday operations, right?
And do you mean like how work's going to look? Do you mean how people are going to be affected? Like what kind of goes through your mind there? Knowing how good of a guy you are, you know, how do you see that playing out, and what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So my career in the last X amount of years has been at the intersection of partnerships and product management. So I've always been working with product, always been working with people to help move solutions forward, right? And I love that about my job. I actually am thrilled about that. When it comes to the idea of AI and how we talk about the disruption with people and workforces, truth be told, I just don't think we're going to see a ton of that right now, right? The way I think about this is that I really do believe that this goes back to a comment that a friend of mine made about 10 years ago. I'll give a shout out to him, Brian Simpkins, a guy I used to work with a long time ago. He said that, listen, if you're in an airplane, airplanes can go A to B without much direction, right? But you still want a pilot in that seat, right? And I think that speaks to what I'm thinking about in terms of how AI is going to be applied meaningfully, right? There's still that human element in terms of helping drive and the creative thought behind advertising that's always going to be important to the space, right? And yeah, I'm excited to see where that takes us.
Wow. I mean, like, that's a great point. I mean, yesterday, I don't know if you saw, but not going to knock the company, but there was a huge problem where a company did a report for the government and there was a 400 million issue. Yeah, I think the problem is like where the human element has to come in is to create no negligence and also like care.
Correct.
So the question is like, how do you keep that care as this also moves? And I feel like you're well positioned in the way you think. How do you currently use AI in your day to day?
I mean, so the idea of application around AI has never been anything new to advertising in general. We have various centers of excellence around helping support labs and new ideas and innovations to iterate, test, and learn what's going to work and what's not going to work, right? Because I'm hopeful that we find things that aren't going to work and learn from that.
Are you
right?
teaching yourself how to build agents
100%.
right now?
Like I'm having fun with this. Like we have a whole team that's fun, just tinkering away and so forth. And I love it. I get in the weeds a lot, and this goes back to media.net as a whole, to give you the latitude and runway to play with things, right? To learn, to test, to experiment, and see exactly how it fits the problems that we're trying to solve for. Yeah. So I enjoy this a lot. It's fun.
Wow, that's so cool. I mean, the other thing I was very curious about, obviously, with your background now, you're in New York, Chicago, India, like, where do you see AI advancing in terms of like world growth? Do you think it's going to be much more equal than it usually is, or how do you see that playing out?
Honestly, I think that comes down to the organizations that you're part of, right? How much they're leaned in, right? Organizations like Media.net and hopefully all the other ad tech companies that we're talking to, right? They tend to lean in and be more focused on the idea of moving the agenda forward, trying to solve for interesting problems versus not like having some level of pushback, right? I think that to answer your question more pointedly, we're going to see a level of more leaning in, right, across the board, across more markets. I don't think there's going to be one stronger market than other, to tell you the truth. I think I'm excited about how our teams grow learning.
That's interesting because I think that's going to level up things, whereas other times in the world, that's the one thing I've been seeing. Like, you'll have countries that were behind with technology. This feels like it has more of a chance of creating a level of equality with it.
Yeah, it's essentially democratized knowledge, right? Whereas before, if you talk about the programmatic maturity over the last 20 years, let's say, right? The programmatic maturity has had challenges because of learning, development, access to knowledge, right? I think that AI and a lot of the LLMs that we all work with on a day-to-day basis have democratized knowledge to a point where you can actually take advantage of information faster and apply it more meaningfully and in a careful way, right? I mean, I think that that's just as important, right? Making sure that organizations put controls and processes in place around making sure that things don't break, right? And we're working towards a good outcome.
I love that. What do you want people to know about you that they don't?
Know about me. I spend a lot of my time mentoring a lot of people. I think that in this time frame that we're in, there's a lot of variables, and I spend a good chunk of my time helping individuals out, whether it's revamping their resume or helping them get a job or something as simple as putting them in touch with someone in my network.
That's so cool.
And I'm proud of that, right? And I hope more people do that and like lean in to help and so forth. I think the one thing that I'm most proud about is like teaching that to my daughters, right? Like my daughters are 11 and 8 now, and it's nice to see them sort of take on that same level of empathy and care for helping other people out. And it's nice. I think that's what I'm most proud of.
That's awesome. How do you stay so positive in this mayhem of a world?
Well, it's funny that the name of your podcast, Breaking Through the Mayhem. So that works. I honestly do think, like we were talking about this before the podcast, like family is a challenge, but it's also a blessing, right? I think constantly like going back and keeping that grounded and understanding like why I'm doing what I do, right? And constantly evaluating, okay, what are the check boxes, if you will, that are important to me? Help me stay focused, right? Like purposeful, what's challenging, what's good for my family, right? It's something that is constantly helping me maintain that level of focus and move forward. So yeah, I think that helps me get through the mayhem.
I love that. And I'll close with this. Who would you go to if you could have a dinner with one person who's not dead and not in your family? Who would it be?
Not dead and not in my family. That's a tough one. Okay, I do have one. So like I said earlier, I come from a family of teachers. My parents, my wife is somewhat a teacher.
My wife's a teacher, so there you go. Wait,
and I love them. My youngest daughter has special needs, and she has an army of teachers that are supportive. So over the years, I've become a huge fan of Sal Khan.
Wow.
Like, so the founder of Khan Academy, I think that he had a very humble start to how he actually developed a product for his family member. And now it's scaled to a level where it's had a ridiculous impact globally, right? To a point where I'm very trusting of his product, software, skills, services that he offers to kids for free. And I think that meeting a person like that and having like an hour worth of dinner and drinks would be something that would be invaluable.
In true your fashion, closing it with compassion, empathy, and also being a part of things. Thank you so much for joining us today. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate the time.
Thank you.
Hey, I'm Chris, one of the producers for Sitely's Breaking Through the Mayhem podcast. We want to thank you so much for subscribing to the show. If you'd like to learn more about the guests we had on today, we included additional information about them in the show notes. Finally, if you'd like to be on the podcast, or if you know someone who'd make a great fit, you can fill out the form at sitely.com/podcast. Catch you on the next episode.